Okay, we are back on the record, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Jessica, you're up.
Raise your right hand, please, just like you heard. So we got our first test about these people.
Yeah.
Just in case. So we got it, for the test about these people. I actually, Chair's permission, please proceed with no practice. Careful, give me a chance to do party conference.
I think you have to admit.
Oh, see you there.
On the top of the screen, in the middle, on the top, it says admit.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
And I'm gonna need. I don't know if you have. Oh, you still do. Okay, good.
Just for the record, the chair's permission to remove Bernard's Avenue non-condemnation. Public hearing.
So this is the, block one, lot 2.01, which is on my Brook. Block 1, 2, lot 2, 75 Bernards Avenue.
It's correct.
So the study was completed on July 6, 2026. Aging down where switch to so this is the study area. It consists of 3 parcels, block 1 and 2, lot 2, block 1 and 2, lot 13, and block 100, lot 2.01. Together, consists of 2.6 acres, has a for the lot is essentially a separate acre. There are several these 5 landscaping we found operating on the site. Some of the structures that we found on the site were 2 room sheds, temporary office space, 2 temporary storage tanks, 2 dumpsters, 2 rooms, 14 shipping containers, 8 detached box cargo box, approximately 22 vehicles, machinery, the greenhouse equipment, lawnmower, excavator. There's other machinery as well. There's landscaping equipment, supplies, and materials, gravel, rocks, paper, soil, and the like all stored on this property. Block 1 and 2, lot 2 is 75 Bernards. It's on the top of the study area here. It consists of 3.26 acres, and had approximately 105 feet of frontage on Bernards. And it does have 2 structures on the property. One is right up against south The apartment was occupied for the landscape businesses. It's no longer in business, but I have some agree with that is. There's nothing. Um, This site also contains various outdoor storage and various landscape and construction materials. We have a piece nine working on the site. And so we also saw the following office trailer, 2 sea containers, 7 sheds, 4 storage shelters, 5 dumpsters, 2 portable rooms, and 7 storage tanks. Block 102, lot 14 is a small quarter lot on the front of Brook Avenue. It's 0.62 acres, a little over half an acre. This property is also assessed vacant. However, there is a structure on the site. Seems to be a garage that serves as office space. One bay garage that was formerly by Bernardsville. The quarry, which operated between 1931 and 1985. The quarry ceased operating after 1985 when the borough passed ordinances limiting quarrying on the site. Subsequent to ceasing of quarry operation, the outdoor storage, landscaping, and construction businesses began operating on the site. The study area, as far as the surrounding properties, up and down to, right. So in the 1930s era, you see that the quarrying started, taking over to 1980 to 1987, the quarry and the quarry league are in place. The site is still part of the quarry, used in the way that it's developed. Going down to 2002, the site is essentially in the state that it is today, with most of the buildings and some of the stores on site. What you can see over time is that the outdoor storage has increased on the site quite dramatically, particularly over the last 10 years or so. So you can see between 2015 and 2020, and around 2020 are getting closer to what exists on the site today. Land value ratio, and in this case, for both of the properties where there are no improvements, it's basically 0 to 1 because there's no building effect on the property. For block 102, lot 2, it's just under 0.92 to 1. So it still indicates some underutilization of that. This shows the link cover and APP. It's all shown as industrial parcels that are a little bit surrounding land uses that, all those big observations, but it's basically the industrial property, and we have what's called an artificial lake or quarry lake behind to the west of the property. Constraints on the property, primarily slopes. The remain from the pouring, here you can see, the red areas, surrounding the various lots are, very steep slopes, and I'm sure you're familiar with that. That's actually pretty much a cliff, between the property and the quarry lake, and then it drops quite dramatically between, block 2.01, or lot 2.01 and block 2. And there's also another steep area that runs along lot 2.01 that has, some interesting retaining walls, going on the property. There is some riparian area from the Brook area that comes over onto the northwest part of the property. Zoning on the property, this property has been rezoned to the AHO 10 zone. That with 30 dwelling units an acre for a total of 180 units, which can be done in multifamily residential townhouses, with a 0.75, which will allow for 36 affordable housing units on this property. Prior to this recent rezoning, it was also rezoned in March of this year. It was in the I-2 industrial zone. So essentially, to some extent, what's going on in the property is in keeping with the zone. And reviewing the master plan, several re-examination reports in 2017 and another one in 2004. Both discussed the quarry and the areas around the quarry and noted that truck traffic in the area was untenable and recommended that the uses on the property be changed. I'll just jump to the site photos. We also visited this site on April 3rd. We did a follow-up visit on June 18th of 2026. So, in the first photo, all three of the lots with the quarry lake behind. Below that, there's an aerial view of lot 2.0 facing south. What you can see is all the outdoor storage that's going on the site, pretty impressive in scale. All of these structures that you see are temporary structures. Nothing's permanent. There are no utilities on the site. There are porta johns and temporary facilities for workers on the site to use. More of the storage along the quarry lake. You also have the JCP&L right away and power lines that go through the property. Underneath those power lines, you can see all the various landscaping equipment and storage on the property. On the lower photo, you can see the drop off to the quarry lake. In general, there's sort of nothing between the storage and the lake besides the some of it down the side. Also, people are exposed to that. So. examples of storage and equipment on the site. Everything's pretty much gravel or, pavings. Permanent type of paving in this area. Before the, landscaping material, just pretty much doing it off the site. Review book. Here you have some of the similar instructions, their free shipping container put together to what looks like an office type of use. Additional storage on the site for lots of wonderful. Locations were, in between the vaccines, not complete, a lot of temporary, walls and areas that were things. Then here you have an example of one of the retaining walls, big sort of the this warming, so this is the structure that's on block 102, that's not affected in the structure. This garage is actually has the shipping container attached to the back. Part of the interior of the structure. So the interior of the structure is quite dilapidated, open, appears to be pretty old. With some of the some of the structure on two, from the rear and some of the garages in the back. See on the side and the apartment X.
It's a great whole drain from the flattening to the center.
So this is the garage door, and the lobby facility. Interior of the garage. You can see a lot of insulation is falling. Right now, the storage is just the property owner. They are not using the property for business purposes any longer. And for the cost of the garage. That's some of these sheets. We also have slopes on side here. We have things Will retain laws, will that, access area. One, path, utility structures, and the rear of the the outer storage is going on the portion of the rear parking lot, like the other the areas of the upper storage. Into the criteria analysis, we identified criteria A, the general substandard that's used as during the obsolescence or necessity of such characteristics or the lack of light or working conditions. There are two permanent structures on the site, which is on the study area, which is block 1 and 2, lot 2. Both of those structures are dilapidated condition, displaying some substandard conditions such as open installation in the garage space that are missing and falling, and exposed wiring within the garages. Block 1 and 2, lot 13 does have the one building that's a garage and office, which is also dilapidated, although not actually considered by the tax to be structured. There are no possibilities of use that they're not living. So to that extent, lot 2 and lot 15, those buildings display dilapidation and which is conducive to also living conditions. Under criterion B, for lot 1 to block 1 and 2, lot 2, the mixed-use building has 2 separate offices, 1 apartment, and 2 garage bays. For one of the offices and the garage bays, former location of 14 landscaping, which God told us has not been utilized for commercial purposes for years. So criterion B is the discontinuance of the use of the building that needs to be used for commercial retail, shopping mall, office parks, manufacturing or industrial purposes, or the abandonment of such buildings or buildings. Significant vacancies of such buildings or buildings for at least 2 consecutive years, or the same being allowed to fall to such a extent. So under criterion B, block 1 and 2, lot 2 has significant vacancy from a commercial standpoint. Under criterion D, again, we're moving out to not just buildings, but improvements on the lot, and looking at areas for the buildings and improvements, which are using dilapidation, obsolescence, overcrowding, faulty arrangement or design, lack of completion, lighting standards, facilities, excessive land coverage, military enforcement, or obsolete layout, or any combination of those or other factors are detrimental. So as described above in photographs, we have quite a bit of outdoor storage on site. The history of the property was that there was determined to be a court case with Bernardsville quarry, Borough, with the quarry lake was an attractive nuisance potentially. And the site itself, based on police records, has also been an attractive nuisance over the years. We have several police records for instances of vandalism on the site, people coming onto the site to be juveniles, vandalizing equipment within the study area. So basically, also the obsolescence of the area in terms of the zoning has changed, you have industrial use of this property, there are truck routes, which have been noted in the master plan examination of routes. So we have trucks going into, neighborhoods, causing issues, throughout the community, which is also the practice is really zoned. We're looking to change the use, is another indication of obsolescence of the site. And we're all the area meets criteria, for obsolescence. This is a functional obsolescence in terms of, on the site, the change, the uses transition from contracted yards on the site, changes around the site. There's been more residential builds around the property as a result of historic aerials. When the site was originally a quarry, it was essentially on its own in that area, and then over time, it's really developed a neighborhood, type of development around it, which has created a functional obsolescence of an industrial use on a property. The economic obsolescence comes from the changes to the master plan and the zone on the site where the master plan knows that there's several issues stemming from the light industrial development property. Trucks not that needed truck routes during peak hours, and then big truck trailers have to turn in all parts of our area. For this, the master plan examination report 2017 for the recommended area. Dilapidation, obsolescence, and those aggregated and parking expense, and safety development, welfare, safety of the community. Under criteria age examination consistent with smart growth principles. Again, the area is situated about a quarter-mile from the Borough of Commercial Center. It's located in an area of 66 utilities. It's also within a highway center designated in January 2026, which is in time of focused development in the center area. It's also close to the train station and the New Jersey 37 Camden designation out in August 2025. Also, for the designation of area under section 3, as you can see from the site is even though you have
I mean, it's the aerials, I guess.
you see how the primary access along Bernard Avenue incorporates all three of the lots. You have, even though the property is 6 acres, there's an extreme amount of steep slopes and difficult topography to work with such that inclusion of all of the parcels in the area or this area would create an offensive area. In summary, the study found that block 1 and 2, block 2 meets criteria A and criteria B, criteria H, and section 3. Block 100, block 2.01, criteria H and section 3. And block 1 to block 13, criteria A, criteria D, criteria H, and section 3. Based on the study, recommends that the planning board recommends to the Borough Council that the study area as a whole be designated as a non-condemnation community redevelopment. Pursuant to local redevelopment.
That you will find that each and every one of the 3 lots that provides the study area satisfy at least 3, if not more, of the separate independent criteria, any one of which would be possible section H, activity in and of itself constitute satisfaction of the study area concepts. And indeed, each and every one of the 3 lots comprising the study area, each and every one of them satisfies your professional opinion, at least 2 of the criteria, in addition to the criteria H, if not more.
Except for block 1.
That concludes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I think we read it.
okay. Any comments at all from the board before I open it? No. Okay, right, we will now accept questions and comments from the public on this matter.
Time limits of.
Yeah, let's just, now, let's just start that way. It's okay. So, name and,
From the Pennsylvania. PTA.
Thank you very much.
I'm having a hard time understanding your philosophy and your understanding of properties this entire evening for the past 4 hours. You say that the pictures that you've shown of the property, dilapidated, the terms that you used, I don't know what you remember the terms, but the pictures that you took of 75 Bernards Avenue inside the garage, some of the insulation is falling. Yeah, that's true. It is. It's a working garage. It has been a working garage for, how long is that property?
70 years.
70 or 80 years. Did you take pictures of the front of the building? Did you take pictures inside of the building? Because you know what, I know that they did when they were there. They took pictures of the front of the building where there's no flowers, where the building is painted, where the gravel is level. They took pictures of the side of the building where all the steps that go down to the sides of the building are perfect. It walks down to a paver wall that was destroyed because of the construction next door, which didn't be rebuilt. They took pictures of the inside of the offices, which you didn't show, which are complete perfect living conditions. I happen to live there myself. You didn't take pictures of our apartment. You didn't ask to go into our apartment. There's also there are 2 businesses, one of which is mine, one of which is AV Construction, that run out of 75 Bernards Avenue. Did you take any pictures of the garage down below? Yes, you did. But the only one everything has been recently painted. We try to upkeep the property as best that we can for an 80-year-old building. So for you to sit here and talk about the negative couple things, rather than all the positive things the positive pictures. We understand that we are a light industrial property in a residential area. But that property goes back way beyond, as you can tell from the pictures in this room and the information that was given, it goes back to part of the quarry, which is over 100 years old from these days. You talk about the driving of the larger trucks in and out of the property. Okay, no one has ever complained to us. There's never been any accidents. There's never been any issues on Bernards Avenue. And if there were, they put a stop sign in at Garibaldi, both ways, to slow people down so that none of the pedestrians nothing would happen to anybody. I sit here and it's not a matter of the condemnation, it's not a matter of the restructuring of the property. It's a matter of understanding what the property actually is. And to sit here for 4 hours and have somebody tell us your opinion and what you believe, you're not showing all the pictures that were taken of the 4 people that walked around with the developer with my father-in-law the day that they came down, about 2 months ago. So I think that you're very inaccurate. Whether you're a professional, your credentials, have you looked at this building? Have you looked down around the police department? How there's no landscaping. The steps are falling apart. Look, the vents are falling apart in this room. If you want to sit here and talk about our property, my home, and talk about dilapidated, when you didn't even show all the accurate pictures, I really think that this all, as a study, I understand, and I understand as you and I, I understand your concept, I understand what they want to do with the redevelopment, I understand about the housing, but I really think that the steps to get there need to be reevaluated, because obviously the information, and you're all welcome to come to my house. You're all welcome to walk the property. I think the steps to get to where you want to get are marred by a lot of opinions and beliefs. If you can sit there and you can actually provide credentials, if you can actually provide solid information for what you're saying, for what you're showing, then show all of the pictures. Show everything that's involved. Because you're only showing the side that benefits the town, that benefits the restructuring in that area. I would love to sit in a courtroom against you, because you know what? Wouldn't do very well for you, unfortunately. And that's my opinion, that's my belief. But I can sit in a room when something looks like this, when you have, in the corner up there, you have issues of, water leaks yourself. I think there really needs to be a better restructuring as to how you guys go about figuring out how to get to where you want to get. All for now. You're all welcome to come to my house, whenever you want.
Chris Shank again.
Does he have to re-swear for this?
Thanks, Better.
You swear to God or affirm testimony you're about to give is the truth, all truth.
I did.
Please proceed.
Chris Shank. Thank you for that. This site is an interesting site. Obviously, he just attested to something very personal and dear to him. And something that I want to bring up as a resident is I spent a lot of time in this area as a father, as a parent at Kiwanis Park, right, Pine Street. And just listening to him discuss it openly and thinking about it as we went through the study, something that comes to mind is, the considerations that I don't think are necessarily shown in this study, especially like when we look at the ratios, are all the hardworking individuals that I see every single time I'm at that park that are coming and parking their vehicles after a really hard day of landscaping work and going back to their home. What type of economic effect is being, thought about in the loss of jobs, revenue from that? Where are those people going to go? Where's this family going to go? Where's this business going to go? Those kinds of things. I don't see that in the study so much. And I understand that, I mean, be outside the scope, but again, like I think he and myself are, again, continuing to bring up is, there's a lot of variables that seem to be missed in these steps, and we just want you to recognize that. Additionally, I think it was brought up in the study, when I've been at that park and the time that I've spent at Little League and all walking around the loop and all of that, I haven't noticed any real crazy issues with traffic with any type of, trucks coming in and out. Sure, I see them, but I really haven't seen an impact for my day-to-day. Now, I have a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old, and I'll tell you what, I've been at that park probably more than I want to be. I'm also curious to see what type of impact any type of redevelopment would have. As we well know, that's a very confined area. Those types of vehicles that would need to come in if we do have some type of large-scale project in the zone. Now, I wonder what it means for our Little League, our baseball club, what it means for that park, what it means for, actually probably one of the most important assets in that area, and for a community that already feels like it's kind of being left out of the loop. So I just wanted to bring that up because again, I think that this study is making conclusions without all of its inputs, and I just want you guys to consider that in your recommendation. Thank you.
Hi, Aaron Duff, 61 Crestview Drive. Do I need to be sworn again?
If you swear to God or refer, separate hearing. You swear to God or refer to the testimony about the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and you're at it, I'm ready.
I do. Thank you.
That was the beginning.
Yeah, it didn't start.
Thank you. Just a couple questions, I guess, on the Quarry versus Bernardsville case that's cited in here. Was the attractive nuisance concern in that case more to do with people coming to the lake and jumping off the cliff? I read it a while ago, but that seems to be how I remember, as opposed to breaking into storage sites nearby.
The concern is the access to the lake and
Okay. And so now it's a industrial storage site with the new zoning, 180 units, right? 36 affordable. You have about 350 more people right there on top of that cliff by the side of it, right? Just about. Yeah. Understood. As far as the police records are concerned, did they ever catch those 2 juveniles that seem to be responsible for all but one of the incident reports?
juvenile.
Did it?
Did they ever catch them?
Yeah. Did you ask them? And it seemed like on at least a few of those reports, it indicated that they accessed it through a gate that was left open by employees. Is that correct? They accessed the property through a gate that was left open by employees at the site. Thank you. I think that's all the questions I have on this. Quick now. Oh yeah, and I will say, I drive by, I was up here the one where I coached softball, and they have a good keep around. Every time I drive by, because the truck storage and everyone's public. So, in any event, I'm gonna, I'll probably be repeating. I know it's a new. Well, I won't repeat myself. Well, I won't repeat myself now because it's new mirror. A lot of that, some of these issues with the outdoor storage, the exteriors of buildings, crumbling elements, unpeeling paint, whatever it is, the kind of issues with the property that are cited as evidence of meeting the criteria for an area need of development designation are all violations of the borough's Chapter 11 Property Management Code. I imagine, I imagine that that site is not high on our zoning officers, list of places to go check out because it's a truck store site, for the most part. So, but I will say that, if our zoning code, or excuse me, our property maintenance code have been enforced the last years that it's taken to get that coverage of the decision we would be in, yeah, we wouldn't be here tonight, or at least this would be a lot shorter study. Bad news, and I said it before, I'll say it again, this property has already been zoned for 180 units, residential units, including 36 affordable, 5 stories. It is what it is. So again, I think this, it's going to happen. It's going to be developed that way. That's the property that the council chose to locate our affordable housing in. That's where it's going to go. Again, the court asked to submit zoning that was implementing the fair share agreement we reached to put those units there. They did so in accordance with the court's orders, in accordance with the Fair Housing Act. This property, as the court determined, this property without any further incentivization by the borough. It is going to develop with purely private effort. No matter what happens as far as the area need redevelopment designation is concerned. The court has said that. The massive zoning relief, I mean, it wasn't even, it was industrial zone, but 180 units far exceeds anything in the borough. But they got very financially lucrative zoning relief, and the market rate units will support the construction of the affordable units as zoned. Again, it's a solution, long-term tax exemptions, pilot payments in search of a problem. It is an abuse of the local redevelopment intended to do, and I would respectfully submit allows you to do. If it's gonna be developed through private means and there's absolutely no need for massive government intervention through an area needed redevelopment designation, it doesn't qualify under any of the criteria. You don't even get there. Thank you for the time.
Thanks. Any further questions or comments from the item? No, just wait, just a sec. We'll get to you.
Carrie Hazelton, 397 Minebrook Road.
Yes. I just had a quick question. Because we're rezoning this long-time industrial site for residential use, has it ever been subjected to any environmental testing? There's a lot of.
Yes.
I'm sure down the line there'll be more people digging. So.
That's what they check in it.
Ms. Hazelton? Sure. The questions have to go this way? Yeah. And just to clarify something you said, we're not rezoning it tonight?
No, I said it already has been rezoned.
Correct.
I did say that.
I understand that, but sure.
If we're gonna be putting people there, I wanted to find out whether we had any information at this point. I figured you would say that, but I wanted to. It didn't take very long.
Outside scope legally, and not within the board's authority, and perhaps the board might not even know, the governing body may know, and frankly, I think this gentleman, no.
Any other one, first speakers, any other one?
Michelle Conner, 16 Burroughs Avenue. Yes, I do. I am, whatever.
You remain on the road.
Is this property for sale? No. I'm just wondering, like, are these properties for sale? Because if they're not for sale, isn't this like a moot?
So they.
I don't know. That's why I'm asking, because I really don't know,
So-
and I'm curious.
So I was going to try to
Yeah.
answer it if I can. So there are two ways you can declare an area in need of redevelopment. You have to either declare it a condemnation area,
Yes.
which means the borough then would have the ability to force a sale, right, to take the property, or a non-condemnation area, where you just put the designation on it, and then the property owner is free to decide whether they want to, right? So the current zoning for that property exists, the current uses exist, they're grandfathered in. Yes, the zoning has changed, it now permits housing, but as long as they operate as they've always operated for the last 80 years, they can continue to operate for the next 80 years, right? This just changes the designation to an area in need of redevelopment for non-condemnation. Whoever owns this property or the other one before, or those other properties, is not forced to make a deal or sell or do anything else.
That was my question.
Someone will say, does this make those properties a little bit more valuable and more lucrative for them? Possibly.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, not a problem. It was a good question.
Anyone else? Okay, you can come back here. I'll give you a second swing.
What I also bring to you as well is, as I mentioned, I live at 75 Bernards Ave. I was also born and raised in that area. I've seen that neighborhood, we've seen that neighborhood change so many times through so many structures. The one issue that we have now with traffic is due to the construction site. If you're aware of Bernards Avenue, as you go down in the hairpins to go up towards Watts Field, for all of you parents who have kids who live in the area, who walk in the area, children ride in the area, I'm going to be completely honest with you. Don't let your children drive down Bernards Avenue. Don't let them walk down Bernards Avenue. Because the construction site that's currently on Bernards Avenue, there's no traffic control. I don't know where the police department is. Coming out of Brook Street to make a right or left-hand turn, you can't see beyond the trucks. There's disregard for everything as far as traffic control. And I'm saying this because I'm a retired police officer as well. So I kind of know what I'm talking about.
Complain, I mean, you.
It's not the issue that I'm bringing up is that there's enough traffic on Bernards Avenue as it is. You have 91 units going possibly on the corner of Church Street, a main road of 202. Yet you're going to promote to put 180 units on a side street, on a bad curve. Good luck trying to get out of Bernards Avenue as it is right now, or any of the side streets. You've already ruined all of the roads up there for all the underground work that they've done to connect everything up there. I just think that, again, this is more of a planning concern and a safety concern for the community moving forward and the neighborhood moving forward, because it is horrendous. And as far as complaints are concerned, I've been there, I've done that, and I will continue to do that. I see it from a different light, unfortunately, and I don't want to see anybody getting hurt. And I just think that much more of an influx of residences and people in that area, if something isn't done traffic-wise, there's going to be some major issues. So it's just something to consider as well. Thank you.
So I want to piggyback Jessica on that. Related to this hearing, this application, I explicitly requested of the council to include 102, block 102, lot 3 in this document and research, as well as an amendment to the court. And I want to be sure that that request does not get lost. It provides, it's a borough-owned lot. It provides access to Mine Avenue, which would dramatically mitigate the traffic onto Bernard. So in the context of this, I do need you to carry that back to or you to carry it back to the council, that request that's been formally made to the council be reaffirmed. It sounds like in summary that what you're saying is that the infrastructure can't, you suspect the infrastructure cannot handle this development, meaning the roads.
Correct.
Okay. Interesting point. Okay. So anyway, it's lot 102, it's block 102, lot 3. It's owned by the town. It's at the end of Mine Avenue. It could just be part of the future negotiations too. It doesn't necessarily.
I don't have a problem if you wanted, depending on what we do with the.
No, not for this.
No, my point is, you could even add that in the resolution if you wanted.
Yeah. To mitigate traffic flow. No more questions?
One thing that I think that I'm struggling with.
State your name again.
Brook. How, it feels like this project is a bit of a stretch when we think about it in terms of like our island designation. I understand if you think about it in terms of scale, right? It's just slightly less than a mile from the train station to, this area. But it feels disconnected from what we generally consider the downtown. I mean, downtown or outside. That's rhetorical. But to me, as a resident, that side of town feels a little disjointed. It feels like, how does this necessarily jive with what we're trying to accomplish with the islands designation, with our long-term master? Again, I think it goes back to Mr. Slocum brought up in our last hearing. It kind of is an outlier in that sense, right? Just wanted to bring that up, how you feel, how did you assess it in terms of how it related back to that specific master plan and that specific, designation?
Well, it is still close to the station, I know it's a little difficult to get there. But also the 2017 master plan designation program and speed designated something cost. And not industry because of the issues coming up the industrial area, the surrounding residential. Some of that's that changing use. So that's already but you have that issue of obsolescence, the economic obsolescence of being because of the functional obsolescence of having an industrial area that's basically tied in by residential uses.
Thank you for taking that. Point of contention, I think.
As crow flies, it's close, but as a wayfaring, walking or whatever, it's challenging to consider a part of it.
The challenges that you've passed in a few months on projects that are taking place on that area. I don't suspect that those are going to just go away. The fact that we keep talking about traffic issues, and I think we're going to continue to see an influx of traffic. When we think about pedestrian and long-term planning, we're talking about the infrastructure side, like what does it mean for our sidewalks? What does it mean for obviously the children and adults that are using, bicycles or whatever it is. As you know, coming to the bridge is pretty tight. There's obviously a blind corner. It's just, again, we're promoting walkability in town, these types of things from the Highlands perspective. It just makes me give pause. Does that necessarily fit with what we're trying to, shape around?
Okay, Barry, one more.
Carrie Hazelton, 397 Brook Road, and I'm still under oath.
I just wanted to make mention of the fact that although we could look at the master plan of 2003 and 2017 reexaminations and the suggestion that we move away from truck traffic in that particular location, I would opine that I think they were probably thinking about single-family homes, which are the vast majority of uses in that area. So they were thinking about small lot development akin to driving down Bernards Avenue, not to 180 units on that particular piece of land. So, they just couldn't have known about that level of density at either of those two junctures. Thank you.
Okay, closing the public comment and questioning period. Any comments just amongst us?
I mean, the density issue, the traffic issue, the infrastructure issue, I completely hear. Me personally, I live in that area. I agree with what was just said about, if trucks aren't a problem, then a lot of cars might be a problem, but that's not what we're here to talk about and decide right now.
Correct.
So we have to look at what we're doing in this designation, and that's how I'm going to make my
Share
decision.
concerns for another day.
Exactly.
Further in the process. Anything else?
I agree.
Yeah. There down to the station. My recommendation to the council was to install an elevator, which would let everybody use it, support ADA, support bikes, support all that stuff, and be a lot less expensive. But even for just the stuff that's already there, the residents that are there, the new construction that's all underway, just to do that, create more of the tighter transit core and get people off the bridge. Okay, I think you're obviously prepared with a motion.
Well, what a resolution.
A resolution, sorry, resolution.
It is there, but again,
As long as you're.
To add a caveat, recommendation.
So much has to be done down the road anyway. I don't need a caveat. Okay, then we can take a motion, right, to approve or deny the resolution, right?
Yeah. So I'll move it for a resolution of the planning board of the Borough of Bernardsville, recommending that block 100, lot 2.01, block 102, lots 2 and 13 be designated as a non-condemnation area in need of redevelopment.
I'll second.
I think it will be adopted resolution memorializing saying that it's provided.
Correct.
Second.
Mr. DeMarco?
Yes.
Ms. Geller? Yes. Mr. Gilio?
yes.
Mr. Graham?
No.
Mr. Malia?
Yes.
Mr. Morrison?
Yes.
And Mr. Von Piano?
Yes.
Okay.
So we got to it, Steve? Okay. All right, so you guys can leave. We have more on our agenda.
Session.
So the next item, believe it or not, is discussion and recreation plan and open space master plan.
Working comments.
Great.
You need the
So Rick, again, Rick, And they're looking, so they're including whatever the truth of the pool situation is. I don't know, I guess. But there was some suggestions. In this plan. You look like you wanted this.
Beyond that people both have it. Usually times of my mom, earlier, we have.
We had an.
Lord, when you will. Another time. But. So whatever, we make, instead.
Well, can you push off executive session? Okay. No, it's.
Not critical, but it's something.
But it's not critical, it's just wait. Yeah.
And the motion to extend will be fine, how we adjourned, that was one of the motions to extend.
Exactly. Okay. Gonna set up better. All right. Adjourn.